A new opinion piece titled this, What the Choice of Tim Walz Says About Kamala Harris. And Joe Borelli, the Journal, walks through some of the decisions that Tim Walz has made, indicating his extreme progressiveness.
Well, look at the issues, too, that we can talk about. I mean, in poll after poll, especially in swing states, it's inflation and immigration that are really driving people away from Democrats. These are two vulnerabilities that he opens the wound. And we spoke about immigration before, but when we talk about his climate record, that's where he really gets into inflation. Minnesota just got a 5% rate hike on their energy bills. That's crushing Minnesotans. This guy is turned Minnesota into California without the big headlines. He is Frumpy Newsom. He is Gavin without the great hair. And unfortunately, Republicans are going to expose the damage he has done to Minnesotans' wallets and what Americans could expect if the Harris-Walz tickets get elected.
And one of the biggest issues has been the border. Tim Walz is very much in lockstep with Harris on the border. He signed a law last year granting driver's licenses to illegal migrants. He wants free health care for them, and he passed measures to make illegal migrants eligible for tuition-free college. He supports sanctuary city policies, and he refused to send the National Guard in to help Border Patrol agents in 2021. Walz has also said that if Trump builds more border wall, he will invest in a ladder company, Emily, obviously, so that the migrants can climb the ladder and come right into America.
You know, I think with this pick, Vice President Harris is really just showing us that she is so far to the left of most of the country, from, abolishing ICE to ending private health insurance to banning fracking. This whole list is a list of things that most of America does not agree with. And also, I think we've seen it from Governor Walz's record in Minnesota. We don't need to have these top-down expensive approaches to reduce emissions. We can have a policy like President Trump's that grows our economy, grows our energy, reduces prices, and does all that stuff at the same time. We don't have to have this choice here.
And on the climate, Walz is being called the climate vice president, Adam. Oh. That's by climate change organization GRIST, as he pushes Minnesota towards aggressive climate policies. He signed a law forcing the state's utilities to get 100% of electricity from clean resources by 2040. Meanwhile, I sat down with former President Trump last week in Bedminster, and his agenda could not be more different. He laid out his plans to tap into America's energy dominance on the world stage. Watch this.
We have more liquid gold, as I call it, under our feet than Saudi Arabia, than Russia, than anybody. We're going to be energy dominant. We're going to make a fortune. We're going to supply it all over Europe, all over the world. We're going to be double and triple what they're doing. Do you know, people in New England, they pay some of the highest prices in the world because we don't have a pipeline, because New York won't let a pipeline go through a very poor section of New York where they need the jobs.
So how many jobs do you think can be created by unlocking the energy capacity in America?
Numbers that you haven't seen before, numbers that we've never seen.
What,
oh, we were
millions?
doing it. Yeah, millions of jobs. That's what we need.
Adam, Trump is using this energy sector and this plan to tap into that capacity as a trigger for growth, because he says, first of all, it's going to create all these new high-paying jobs.
Right.
Okay, high-paying jobs. But also, when you put more oil on the global market, it sends oil prices lower.
Correct.
And that takes inflation down. So it's a two-part strategy here.
And it completely changes the conversation. Having more oil out of the U.S. completely changes the conversation with both our allies and our adversaries. I mean, think about it. If we unleash American drilling, as you point out, the price goes down. If the price goes down, that means that Russia makes less money, Iran makes less money, and all of a sudden China, which needs our liquefied natural gas in particular, is coming to us and saying, hey, we need you, as opposed to we want to antagonize you, right? So it completely changes the dynamic. Oh, and by the way, we can also support our European allies because we've got plenty of oil and we're pumping it and sending them.
Well,
totally different conversation.
There's a whole host of propaganda on TikTok right now.
Yeah.
Supporting Tim Walz, supporting Kamala Harris. It feels like the CCP is in on Kamala. Tim Walz. He's been very sympathetic. He worked in China. He taught in China. Says it was some of his best times ever.
Yeah, as opposed to Mr. Trump, who's basically going to look Mr. Xi right in the eye and say, no more.
Yeah,
no more.
And if not, if you don't change your behavior, we're putting more sanctions on.
That's right.
On Chinese companies.
That's
We're
right.
just getting started this hour. We've got a lot coming up.